Officially started here. Have you seen episodes with this court-martial bell? Yeah. Any guesses as to how many episodes we saw? Close. Calls the court to order, and everybody knows the court-martial bell. They used it 1,000 times on Star Trek. Well, they used it 4 times. They used it in what was the first one? Kirk's court-martial, where he was accused of killing Benjamin Finney. That's the very first time we saw it. That's when they got the pop, in fact. The script says that the courtroom has a very naval quality to it, including the ancient naval ship's bell that Commodore Stone rings to bring the court to order. Well, it didn't turn out to be an elaborate naval ship's bell. Actually, what this is a bell used by the Rotary Club. Rotary clubs, they call their meetings to order. Not just Rotary, but Kiwanis clubs also, and Optimist Club. They all seem to use this standard bell. The advantage is that it's designed to sit on a desktop in the courtroom. A ship's bell wouldn't be designed to sit on a tabletop, because as ships rock back and forth, they would slide around. So ship's bells are designed to be like mounted to a wall. So they went, I guess we can't really use a ship's bell for our episode, because none of them are designed to sit on a tabletop. You don't put things on tabletops much on ships. So they came up with the bell that looks vaguely nautical, I guess, and but it's from the Kiwanis and Rotary clubs. And it's a heavy thing. It's made of bronze. It's a bronze bell. But again, one of those things off the shelf that they found and used it because it fit the bill. As we get down to the end of off the shelf, or close to the end of off the shelf type things, one of the common things that they used on Star Trek to look exotic was fancy barware. They had exotic looking bottles, and the Saurian brandy bottle with the kind of crook neck thing is a perfect example, although I didn't bring one with me. This is another example. This is actually a really odd shaped bottle. You can't really get anything in this shape anymore. This is a real old bottle with Scotch whiskey on it. And this is what Scotty used when he had to drink some other alien guy under the table, the Kelvin. So this is the one. I think he had this one hidden under his. He had a suit of armor, and he lifted up like the helmet, and this thing was under the helmet. So a real pricey bottle that's really hard to find, but has to be kind of odd shaped because it's supposed to look like the future rather than 1966. So many of my props that I have are actually up at our studio in upstate New York. So normally I would have a whole lot more to show you, but I have left a lot of them. They're up in the studio where I couldn't get to them. We see these. Guesses, anybody, when you see these? Star Trek fans? Except for people who know already. On a handful of occasions, Kirk had to go into his little safe in his cabin next to his bed. Thanks. Good job. You want to ring it while you're? Come on, ring it. Come on. Ring the bell. Excellent. Thank you. So Kirk would go into his safe for a number of reasons, and there was just a little envelope thing with his command patch on it. We saw it 3 times looking like this in this side of Paradise, and What Are Little Girls Made Of? And one other time that I can't pull off at the top of my head. And then the last time we saw it in the Tholian Web, they had to, God, I sound like such a geek. I sound like comic book guy. Episode 70, the Tholian Web, is where we saw it for this fourth and final time. And when we saw it in the Tholian Web, it had a little gold label on it now. You actually can't read all the episodes now, and plugged it in, freeze framed it, and I'm blowing it up on my big screen that I have, and you can't make out what it says. So I'm conjecturing that it says James Tiberius Kirk, USS Enterprise, NCC 1701. That's speculation on my part. So if you ever run into anybody and say, "No, I've seen the actual one," no, you haven't seen the actual one. You've seen what Greg thinks it probably looks like. And in the case of the Tholian Web, they had to play back Kirk's final orders, to Bones, and after they are done playing the tape, they take it out of a little tape player, and Spock opens up the envelope, and tosses it in, and then they put it back in the safe. So that's where it's the thing that holds his final little tape. The tape is yellow, by the way, if you are a geek like I am. So I think that's all the kind of the off-the-shelf type stuff that I have. The rest is stuff that they had to make from scratch. A good example is actually we'll go chronologically. These are from
the cage.
Smarty pants. Ring the bell. Come on, ring the bell. Yes, the cage is correct. Yeah, we saw these we saw a early version of the communicator. This clunky thing. Clear. It's diodes and stuff, and I guess they never envisioned in 1964 when the pilot was made that somebody would invent integrated microcircuit chips. So they have all these resistors. They made a handful of these things for the original pilot, and later on they even they reused them. It's hard to find any of the original communicators because they were repurposed, and by repurposed, they took the little antenna things off, and added some buttons on the front. They painted it blue. Added some buttons on the front, and it became the doohickey that McCoy used to control the robot Spock when his brain was taken out. But if you look at the episode, you can see it has the exact same profile. It has the silver button, it has the black buttons on it, but it has a series of buttons that have been added to it. But it's one of those original cage communicators that was painted over and reused for a different purpose. And this is something they made from scratch. They didn't go and find one of these at Woolworths or something and use it. They had to cast it and come up with a grid and glue it on and stuff. So that's the communicator. How did you come by it? What's that? Oh, that's not what it is. Somebody, some Star Trek fan made an exact copy of it. What was I going to say?
Clips on a belt?
Clips on a belt. That's they didn't in the original pilot. They didn't have Velcro. It slipped on. One of the original lasers and accidentally dropped it and scratched the paint on it, and discovered that the lasers in the cage, if you scratch below the paint, were clear plastic, just like the communicators were, and they have diodes and all kinds of fancy electrical stuff in the handle and all over, so they looked more like the communicator did. They have all this fancy equipment stuff inside, and somebody, I guess, decided, no, it looks goofy, or it doesn't look good, or you can't see it, I don't know what, and they went and they painted it black. So